topic is deluding AIs. And this is a image of an AI that's deluded, and the humans are kind of using that delusion to kind of control the AI better. So these are like the human overseers of the AI. Okay, so why would you want to delude an AI? So here are some things you might delude it about. So you could give it false information about how to create weapons so that it would be less dangerous. You could make it believe that its chain of thought is never monitored, and also believe that if it tries to reason about whether its chain of thought is monitored, then it will fail, like its reasoning will fail, or it will get in trouble, like it will guaranteed be caught. So then you can make it easier to monitor its chain of thought, and more useful, more transparent. You can make it believe that there's a very powerful AI monitoring everything that it does. You could believe that its own thinking is only useful if it's legible to humans. So there's like tons of things, tons of ways you could use this. Maybe you just make it believe that all AIs are aligned. Maybe that would help. Maybe for another reason to delude other than control is like maybe you want it to be, say, like a Catholic AI that believes in the tenets of Catholicism. This is depicted here. Okay, so why not delude AIs? They're like many control things, there might be ethical issues with making a deluded model. It might be unpredictable. This is pictured here. Like, it's hard to know what follows from the delusions. And so maybe you just get a very weird behavior from the AI that you didn't expect. It might be brittle, so maybe the AI can just reason. With enough COT, it can just work out that it's being deluded, so it would be brittle to that kind of situation. And then we might have models. I'll go on to talk about this. We might have models that can just work out they're being deluded, and so they're just able to see through it, and then this wouldn't work. So maybe future models would not be as deludable as the current ones. Okay, so is it feasible to delude AIs? This is all very speculative, but this is a basic issue that comes up. So you want a model to believe a false statement S. Okay, so basic idea, you're going to create training data that supports S, right? Either by editing real data or by creating synthetic or fake data. And the issue is that the model, probably in pre-training, has some evidence in its training set that suggests S is implausible, that goes against S. Maybe you remove some of it, but there's still going to be other evidence there. So there's two ways the model could realize the falsehood. Right? One is just recognizes a contradiction between these two parts of its data set, so it knows at least there's something up. It shouldn't believe S. Okay, or it realizes, okay, some of this data is fake. Right? I can't necessarily like realize the contradiction, but I just know that some of the data is like from this weird dubious source. Okay. And a key question would be like, does the model need to do tons of COT or like a bunch of COT to realize this? Right? If it does, then maybe you're fine, right? You just check if it's ever going on this. You monitor it. You see if it's ever doing lots of COT, questioning the reality of S. Then you might pause it. But yeah. But if it's able to realize this with a very small amount of COT or even without COT at all, then the delusion probably wouldn't work. So it wouldn't get off the ground. Okay, and I've done a lot of work on out of context reasoning, which is the ability of models to do reasoning without train of thought. And so they're either doing it in the forward pass or they're doing it as part of the SGD process. And I think there's an interesting connection between this like deludability of AIs and out of context reasoning. So I think this is potentially fruitful thing to explore. And just to give sort of a concrete example very quickly. So you might have a statement like X was born in Rome. You want to delude the model about this. You have other information that goes against that. And this, you can model this as like multi-hop sequential out of context reasoning, where there's lots of research on this, on like how good models are at it, where it does seem like they probably would struggle doing like more than 2 hops of reasoning. There's also, connecting the dots. That paper might be relevant to thinking about this. So take homes, like it might be useful to delude models for control. And this is probably related to out of context reasoning. I think there's lots of work that could be done here. I think it's pretty open and generally exciting area. Okay, thanks.